Level 1. The Runner. You are 17. It is 1989, and Japan looks rich from the outside. Tokyo property prices are absurd. Men in dark suits drink until the last train and talk as if the good years will never end. Your house feels different. Your father's small construction company is buried in debt. Your mother hides unopened bills in a kitchen drawer because there is no point reading the same bad news twice. You left school 6 months ago, not because you had a plan, because plans cost money. Most evenings, you stand behind a game center near the station, with boys who are also waiting for something to happen. Then one night, something does. A man named Sato steps out of a black sedan and asks if you can deliver a package across town. No explanation, just a train ticket, an address, and cash for the trip. You leave immediately. 40 minutes later, you hand the package to a man behind a restaurant. He takes it and walks away. When you return, Sato checks his watch. You are 3 minutes early. He gives you an envelope. Inside is more money than you made in the previous 2 weeks. You come back the next night without being invited. That is the first test. Not bravery, reliability. For the next year, you carry messages, pick people up from stations, and wait outside doors. You are not part of the family. They are watching. Do you show up? Do you stay quiet? And after you get paid, do you come back? One boy your age starts bragging at a bar about who he works for. Nobody threatens him. Sato simply stops calling. By winter, you understand the first rule. Being noticed gets you in. Knowing when not to be noticed keeps you there. Level 2. The Shadow. You are 19. Now you follow a man named Nakamura. He is 41, broad-shouldered, always calm, and somehow never rushed when everyone around him is. Your job is simple. Drive, wait, watch. Most of the time, nothing happens. That surprises you. You thought power would be loud, shouting, tables slammed, men proving themselves every 5 minutes. Nakamura almost never raises his voice. One afternoon, a nightclub owner starts yelling during a private meeting. You stand near the door. The owner points, complains, talks over everyone. Nakamura pours tea. He lets the man finish. Then he asks one quiet question. The owner stops talking. 10 minutes later, the meeting is over. Outside, you ask what Nakamura said. You were in the room, he answers. You should know. You do not. So you start watching more carefully. Nakamura never sits where he cannot see the door. He never interrupts an angry man too early. He remembers the names of employees nobody important is supposed to notice. Months later, another meeting turns tense. A younger man from another crew stands too quickly. You stand too. You say nothing. The younger man looks at you, then sits back down. That evening, Nakamura lets you ride in the front seat. Nobody explains why. You have learned the second rule. The loudest man in the room may be trying to create power. The quietest man may already have it. Level 3. The Enforcer. You are 22. The economic bubble is gone. Businesses that borrowed too much are collapsing. Men who once ignored phone calls are suddenly returning them. Your job changes with the country. You are no longer sent somewhere just to be seen. Now you are sent when a situation needs to become serious. The first time is almost ordinary. A bar owner has stopped honoring an arrangement and refuses to meet anyone. You find him after closing and tell him Nakamura wants an answer by morning. No broken furniture, no speech. You leave. He calls before sunrise. For a while, you mistake that for skill. Then comes a different job. A member of your own group has been taking money and lying about it. Everyone knows. The question is whether the family will tolerate it. Nakamura gives you a location and sends you with 2 older men. On the drive, nobody speaks. That is when you understand the difference between looking dangerous and belonging to a system that expects things from you. What happens that night is not something anyone congratulates you for. The next morning, Sato hands you coffee. Nakamura gives you another assignment. That is the performance review. You are still being called, and you learn the rule that follows you for the rest of your life. Every promotion gives you more authority. It also removes one more excuse for saying no. Before level 4, if you're still here, tell me which criminal hierarchy you want broken down next. And subscribe, because from here on, this becomes less about force and more about control. Level 4, the Collector. You are 25. You are given responsibility for a group of local businesses connected to the family. You think your job is fear. It is not. Fear is unstable. It makes people panic, disappear, or look for another answer. Your job is consistency. A restaurant owner named Hayashi is late 1 month. He does not lie. A refrigeration unit failed and the repair emptied his cash reserve. You give him time, he pays before the new deadline. Months later, he introduces you to another owner who wants the same stability. Then there is Fujimoto. He runs 2 bars and thinks a younger crew can offer him better terms. He delays meetings and stops returning calls. You visit once. You do not argue. 2 days later, he calls and the relationship continues. This is where you learn calibration. Too much pressure destroys the thing producing value. Too little pressure teaches people your boundaries are imaginary. The goal is not fear. The goal is certainty. Stable systems make more money than chaotic ones. Level 5, the Family Man. You are 28. For years, you have waited outside certain rooms. One night, Nakamura walks into one and leaves the door open. You hesitate. He looks back. Are you coming? That is the ceremony. You sit at the table. For the first time, conversations continue while you are present. Territory, money, disputes. Who can be trusted? Who is becoming a problem? And then you notice a 17-year-old waiting in the hallway. His name is Kenji. He reminds you of yourself. Too eager, too curious, always looking for approval. You give him simple jobs and watch the same things Sato once watched in you. Is he early? Does he talk? Does he return? One evening, Kenji asks, "How do I move up?" You tell him, "Stop trying to look like you belong here. Be useful long enough that nobody can imagine you anywhere else." It is the first time you hear Nakamura's voice coming out of your own mouth. You are no longer just being shaped by the family. You are helping shape the next man. Level 6, the Lieutenant. You are 33. 7 men report to you. This is the first level where your own discipline is not enough. Kenji misses a meeting. Nakamura does not ask Kenji why. He asks you. Another man loses his temper in public. Again, the question comes to you. Why did you put him there? Why did you not see it coming? At first, leadership feels unfair. Then you understand that unfairness is the job. A subordinate gets to say, "I made a mistake." A leader has to ask, "Why did my system allow it?" You start choosing people differently. The strongest man is not always the best choice. The smartest man is not always stable. And the man who agrees with everything you say may be the most dangerous because he gives you no information. One of your 7 starts hiding small failures. Nothing dramatic. Missed appointments. Bad numbers. Excuses that almost make sense. You quietly move him away from anything sensitive. 6 months later, he leaves. No public explosion. Just removal. You learn that management is not forcing people to obey. It is knowing who should never be put in a position where one bad decision can damage everyone. Level 7, the Treasurer. You are 39. Japan has changed. Police pressure is higher. Public tolerance is lower. Banks, landlords, and companies are more careful about who they are seen dealing with. The family becomes quieter. So do you. Your new responsibility is money, records, obligations, legal bills. Support for members and families. Businesses that are strong and businesses that suddenly are not. Money is boring until you understand what it says. A man can lie to your face. A pattern usually cannot. One crew reports slightly weaker numbers 4 months in a row. Every month has a different explanation. Weather, renovation, a slow season, a supplier problem. Any one could be true. 4 different stories producing the same clean shortfall or something else. You do not accuse anyone. You check. You wait. You compare. When you finally speak to Nakamura, you bring no emotion, only a pattern. The crew leader is removed from financial responsibility. That is when you understand the real power of the treasurer. Money connects everybody. If you know where it moves, you know who is strong, who is weak, who is desperate, and who is pretending not to be. The more you know, the fewer people you can speak freely around. Level 8, the advisor. You are 45. Nakamura is older now. So are you. You no longer drive him. Other men drive both of you. Before major decisions, he asks you one question. What do you think? That sentence contains more power than most orders you have ever received. A conflict develops between 2 senior crews. One wants a larger share of a profitable district. The other sees any concession as humiliation. The younger version of you would have looked for the strongest response. Now you look for motive. One side wants money. The other wants status. Those are different problems. You recommend a settlement that improves the first side's economics without forcing the second side to look defeated. Neither gets everything. Both can claim they protected what mattered. The conflict ends. Nakamura never tells anyone it was your idea. You do not need him to. At this level, public credit can make advice weaker. You spent your youth trying to become visible. Now your influence grows because you can disappear inside other people's decisions. Level 9, the underboss. You are 51. Nakamura has become Oyabun. You are his number 2. People stand when you enter. Calls get returned. Arguments change when your name enters them. And you trust fewer people than you did at 17. That is the joke nobody tells you on the way up. At the bottom, you are surrounded by people who cannot do much to you. Near the top, almost everyone can change your life. Some want your approval. Some want your position. Some are loyal to Nakamura first. Some are loyal to you because they think you will be next. Kenji is in his 40s now and runs his own crew. One evening, he asks whether Nakamura is getting too old to lead. You look at him. 25 years ago, he asked how to move up. Now you understand the full answer. You move up by becoming useful. You stay up by understanding that usefulness and ambition can look identical from a distance. You tell him Nakamura is still the Oyabun, nothing more. He nods. You remember the conversation. The closer you get to the throne, the fewer conversations you are allowed to forget. Level 10, the Oyabun. You are 57. Nakamura does not lose a war. He does not go to prison. He gets sick. For almost a year, fewer people see him. Meetings move to his home. Decisions come through intermediaries. Everyone says nothing has changed while quietly preparing for the fact that everything has. Then one winter morning, Nakamura dies. For the next several weeks, you watch. Who calls immediately? Who waits? Who starts making promises nobody asked for? Who suddenly becomes very interested in unity? Who speaks about Nakamura with respect? And who speaks about the future too quickly? The family does not need the most ambitious man. It needs the man enough senior people believe can stop the structure from breaking. They choose you. At 57, 40 years after your first delivery, you become Oyabun. You finally sit in the chair everyone spent decades pretending not to look at. And almost immediately, you discover the chair does not belong to you. The men below you think you can do anything. In reality, you can do almost nothing casually. You cannot reward one man without 3 others interpreting it. You cannot remove a leader without changing the balance beneath him. You cannot forgive a mistake without creating a precedent. You cannot show anger without people preparing for consequences. Even kindness becomes political. Even silence becomes a message. A younger boss creates a crisis, and half the room wants him gone. The old you would have judged the man. Now you have to think about the crews around him, years of loyalty, and what everyone will learn from whatever you choose. That is the final transformation. At 17, you thought power meant having choices. At 57, power means carrying choices you no longer get to make, only for yourself. Late one night, after everyone leaves, you sit alone in a room younger men are afraid to enter without permission. On the wall is an old photograph. Nakamura is in the center. You are behind him, 22 years old, trying very hard to look like you belong. You remember the game center. Your mother's drawer full of bills, Sato's car, the first package, the first envelope of cash. Nobody dragged you into this life. That is what makes the memory difficult. You kept coming back. At every level, another door opened. Each time, walking through it felt like gaining freedom. More money, more respect, more authority, more control. Only later do you understand what the doors were doing. They opened in front of you, then locked behind you. The runner could disappear. The shadow could walk away. The enforcer still had a life outside the room. The collector had choices. The lieutenant had responsibilities. The treasurer had secrets. The advisor had obligations. The underboss had enemies. And the Oyabun has the whole structure sitting on his shoulders. Tomorrow morning, dozens of men will wake up and make decisions based on what they believe you want. People will say your name in rooms you have never entered. That sounds like power. Maybe it is. But the 17-year-old behind the game center could decide not to come back the next night. You cannot. And after 40 years of climbing, that is the one thing he had that you no longer do.